Our third day in Armenia began early as we set out from Yerevan toward the legendary Khor Virap monastery, one of the holiest pilgrimage sites in the country. As we approached, the view was spectacular. The silhouette of the monastery rising against the towering Mount Ararat, wrapped in a veil of clouds, a mountain held sacred in Armenian lore, said to be where Noah's Ark came to rest. Before entering the monastery complex, we climbed a nearby hill where a solitary cross marks the summit. The view from here was unforgettable: Mount Ararat in its full majesty, and the borders of Azerbaijan and Turkey visible in the distance. The air was still, and the mountains seemed to hold their breath. Our guide, Sam, deeply knowledgeable and passionate about Armenian history, stood beside one of the kachkas, traditional Armenian cross stones, and explained their deeper meaning. He pointed out how the Armenian cross differs from the standard Christian cross. It is often asymmetrical, with each arm carved uniquely, representing life's unpredictability and spiritual growth. The arms of the cross flare outward, a symbol of radiating light and eternal life. Unlike Latin crosses, Armenian crosses are often crowned with intricate sunbursts or rosettes, symbolizing divine light, and surrounded by interwoven floral and vine motifs, a marriage of nature and faith. He explained that these crosses were never identical. Each was carved as an individual prayer, a memorial, or an act of devotion. Some were built to commemorate a battle, others to mark a grave or a holy site. Sam's narration added a whole new depth to the quiet stonework. Suddenly, the cross was not just art, but a living story etched in time. From there, we approached the infamous dungeon of Khor Virap, where St. Gregory the Illuminator was imprisoned for 13 years. The narrow metal ladder leads down into a suffocating dark pit. Many from our group went down, but I chose not to. It was simply too haunting. Just imagining someone confined in that space for over a decade was deeply unsettling.
Okay, so if you
We then entered the ancient chapel, simple yet serene. The flickering candles, the cold stone walls, and the heavy silence carried centuries of prayer. We spent some quiet moments in prayer and reflection, grateful for the chance to be in such a sacred place. After some time spent on the mountaintop, soaking in the panoramic views, we drove onward toward Noravank Monastery, a sight no less majestic. The drive through the Amagu Gorge was breathtaking. Rugged cliffs glowing in deep red hues lined the path, and at the end, perched dramatically against the rocks, stood Noravank. This 13th century monastery was once a thriving religious center. At its heart is the Surb Asvatsatsin Church, Holy Mother of God, known for its elegant facade and once accessible narrow staircase leading to the second level. Though now closed for safety reasons, one could imagine how pilgrims once climbed in reverence. Inside, we explored the graves of nobles and clerics, some laid to rest under intricately carved stone slabs. We also visited a stone well, once used not for water, but as a food storage chamber, a clever method to preserve supplies during Armenia's harsh winters. On one of the walls, we admired a delicate relief of Mary holding the infant Christ, carved by the master artist Momik, whose work graces much of the monastery. It was serene, tender, and timeless. In a quiet corner, a priest was deep in prayer. We approached him gently, his face lit up with joy. His warm welcome and blessing added a personal and spiritual warmth to the day. After soaking in the view and capturing countless photographs of the monastery nestled in the Crimson Cliffs, we had lunch at a vineyard restaurant nearby. On our way back to Yerevan, we made our final stop at the gum market, a sensory celebration of Armenian culture. The stalls were overflowing with dried fruits, spices, herbs, vegetables, and sweets. I took some memorable photos with a kind lady selling dried goods, her hospitality as pure as the produce she offered. The vegetables were crisp, vibrant, and sun dried to perfection. We picked up packets of dried apricots, figs, plums, and walnuts, flavors we'd carry home as souvenirs of Armenia's earthy richness. Dinner was simple and local. We stopped at a fast food restaurant close to our hotel. Our wraps were fresh and filling, and we topped it off with a scoop of ice cream. A light and cheerful way to end a day so spiritually and visually intense.